me, Alan Hubbard, and the sign language interpreter is Tobias Omondi. Today is the 21st day, and as we promised last Thursday, or as we began this journey about a month ago, that we're going to give you a full month of how you can grow your finances and stretch your shilling. And today we are happy to yet again have Mr. David Getao, who is the COO of Lofty Coban Investments Limited. And today we're going to be having a topic that many of us shun away from: financial planning. We know what comes in, we don't know what goes out. We know that our salary comes in at the beginning of the month, but how we spend it, we rarely care about. And this morning, surprisingly, I was looking at my M-Pesa messages for the whole of last week, and I'm like, that's a lot of spillage when it comes to when it comes to money. So Mr. David is here this morning to help us. How do we think about financial planning, even the small shillings that we have currently in our country, depending on the financial situation? You can engage with us on our social media platforms. That is a Science TV Kenya, and the numbers are on your screen, SMS or WhatsApp, and we'll be glad to sample some of that feedback. Mr. David, since last you're here, how have you been?
I've been well.
Yes.
Up to the same old daily routine.
New day, same old tricks.
Kabisa, same.
Yeah.
Just going out there, empowering Kenyans, guiding Kenyans on how we can get them towards financial freedom, whatever that means to them.
Yeah. When somebody hears the word financial planning, it's intimidating in its way. One, it's intimidating in the sense that our money sometimes is too small that we think we do not need to plan for it. Two, it involves mathematics. Yeah. But in simple terms, what does financial planning really mean?
Kujipanga. Basically, when you hear somebody say amejipanga,
Yeah.
basically it is just about bringing the future into the present.
Yeah.
So that we can do something about it today,
Yeah.
so that we can make the future happen.
Yeah.
The only thing is now that we're doing it in a systematic manner, in a manner that has some sense of direction, some sense of purpose, and we're not guessing and we're not hoping, because hope can never be a strategy.
Yeah.
You can never say, I hope to be rich one day. You must plan to be rich. There's a methodology to that madness.
I see today you've decided violence, because so many people are hoping to get rich.
You can never hope.
So when you tell them hope is not a strategy, you're basically breaking their hope. And financial planning, how then is it important for individuals? Share from an individualistic point of view, but also from a family point of view, because utapata 21s, 22s, 23, 24s, bado wako solo, and 27, 28, 29, they are starting to think about finances. And once you get a family, then now the mathematics is totally different. Paint a picture: individual, family view, financial planning.
Okay. What you're referring to is just the different stages of maybe somebody's life cycle.
Yeah.
But there's no difference in terms of the stages the one goes through in terms of planning. I particularly use a particular framework. We call it the SOSTAC framework.
Yes.
Which basically means S stands for situation analysis, understanding where you are.
Yeah.
O stands for understanding where are you going, what are your goals, what are your aspirations. S stands for strategy. What strategy are we going to employ to ensure that we achieve those goals, those financial goals of yours? What investments are we going to make to achieve those goals? And then we have T, which stands for tactics. Within the strategic framework or the strategy, which is long-term, what short-term things can we do to take advantage of short-term movements in, let's say, the economy or interest rates or anything like that?
Yeah.
And then A stands for action, meaning what do we need to do for ourselves as individuals or as families to ensure that we execute this plan effectively. Then, of course, C stands for control, meaning taking stock of where you are and where you came from to see whether there's any bit of growth. So whether it is a family, whether it is an individual, the process is the same. It's just that particularly on the objective side, or the goal side, the goals might be different because the younger you are, your goals are sometimes, like I have clients who the goal is to move out of home. As simple as that.
Yeah. It's scary sometimes.
Yeah, and we plan for that. When you get married now, and then you get children involved, now we start planning for those children.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of as you move, especially as you progress through life, we keep adding goals and removing the ones that we have actually achieved.
Yeah.
But the planning process is essentially the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does not differ if you're an individual or a family, but the journey is the same.
Yeah.
But how does it look like? What are the first steps someone should take when starting their financial planning journey?
Okay. One of the things that you must take stock of is where you are currently.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm going to look at this like a conversation as if I was maybe advising you on the questions I would ask you. So I'll first look at your what I was calling situation analysis in trying to understand where are you now.
All right. We can even do a role play.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things is looking at the social factors of your life.
Yeah.
Just the simple ones. How old are you? Are you married? Yes or no? Do you have children? Yes or no? Do you have other dependents other than your children who will suffer financially in case you're gone? Things like your investment history, your history with investing, because there are people who suffer from investment trauma, and you must guide them towards the healing process. Labda waligongo mahali na mtu. So that is the social aspect. Things like even your profession or even your educational background, because I need to start forming an image in my mind that, okay, even before we come to the question of money, what extra skills may you have that could
implement?
Yeah, that could generate income in the future. So those are the social factors that we look at.
Yeah.
Then we go to the financial factors. Remember what we said, that being successful financially is not how smart you are or what school you went to.
Yeah.
We now come to looking at your income and expenses. Basically, the budget.
Yeah.
So initially, we look at all your sources of income after your statutory deductions. So this is what has come in.
Yeah.
Then we go to the most difficult part. What most people don't understand or most people don't realize is what has actually gone out in terms of your expenses.
Yeah.
So we look at everything. If you have kids, we look at how much are you paying for school fees? How much are you paying for rent?
Yeah.
How much do you pay for entertainment? All your expenses.
This is sorry to cut you short. Pastor Nganga, I don't know if you know him, the other day, he said if you earn 50,000 Kenyan shillings, you do not have a business of sleeping in a house that is 20, 15, you should stay in a house that is 8,000.
If probably even less. Because, and I'm getting to that point,
Where?
because what happens is you're looking at your income
Yeah.
and then you're looking at your expenses. But the question is, it's not what is coming in that is important. It is what is remaining after you spend. As for starters.
Yeah.
Okay, we call that now basically what is going to be that can go now in towards your savings or your investments. Now, my recommended percentage is 40%.
40%.
Yes. So if we do the mathematics with you and your income minus your expenses.
So all your total expenses must amount to 40%.
No. What remains?
Or what 40%?
What remains after you spend?
Yeah.
Should be, so you're spending maybe 60% of your income, but you should retain at least 40%,
40%.
of what came in.
Yeah.
Okay, spend 60, no problem. But 40% should
Remains.
stay. So when we work with 40%, so if you're not at 40%, then we look at where are there any leakages in your expenses? Though I prefer to look at the income side. How can we supplement this income so that we achieve a situation where we are saving 40%? So at 40%, now we start working backwards. And usually the place where people get it most strong is rent and school fees. So when we work backwards, and then we see,
my child should not be in that school.
He should not be in that school. Or I should not be living in this particular house. That is the route I usually take. If you go and just do a simple search on Google, savings, you'll get people saying 50, 30, 20 rule, 20% of your savings. But we're in Kenya, we're in Africa, where inflation rates go sometimes
Crazy.
go haywire. And we need to account for that. That is, 20% is, what do you call it? Maybe the Western standard.
Yeah.
So in terms of situation analysis, we looked at social, financial, we looked at income and expenses. Basically, that 40%, we're calling it the savings rate.
Yeah.
Very important. Then the next thing in terms of looking at your finances is basically looking at your assets and then looking at your liabilities. Of course, the younger you are, the less assets you have. In fact,
Yeah.
when you're starting out, you might have even zero. You might just have like,
You might have your phone as your asset. Apparently, every young person has a phone these days.
but this a phone might not be an asset because an asset, I'm looking at an asset as anything that is going to increase in value
Yeah.
at some point, and you can even dispose it to generate actual cash.
Yeah.
So we look at your assets and then we look at your liabilities. And then we take your assets and you minus the liabilities, and then you come up with what is known as the net worth. That is the most important figure in anybody's life, your net worth. Because that is how you measure wealth. You don't measure wealth by the car they drive or the house they see. It is that unseen thing that is your net worth. Because that is what it determines whether you actually succeed, achieve your dreams or not. Because the biggest risk we face as individuals, as families, is the risk of not achieving our goals.
Yeah.
That means then we remain sad
Yeah.
in a way. So we look at the net worth. So that is the first stage. And essentially, every time we now sit down to review, what are we reviewing? We're reviewing, are we still able to do the 40% savings?
Yeah.
Yes, good. Is our net worth going up or is it down? Or is it negative? If it is negative, then we have a problem. We have to get it into positive territory. Because if you're in negative territory, meaning your liabilities are more than your assets, essentially that is the same as you're in ICU. So we need to
You're on your
move
deathbed.
from ICU, get to high dependency unit, and then put you in the general ward, and then discharge you from this financial
From
clinic.
the financial sickness you're suffering from.
Yeah, but so that is exactly where you're supposed to look at. Yeah, and when it comes to budgeting, again, we always say that money has a personality of its own. Money is meant to move, so you must direct it on where to move first. If you don't direct it on where to move, it will find a place to go. Pesa tajipatia shughuli, and which is true. So you must direct your money where it should go. It is always good to know where your money went, rather than wonder, as you did with your M-Pesa statement. Wonder, I had all this money. Where did it disappear to?
I made quite a killing a few days ago, but right now I do not have anything.
Once unplanned for money is probably the worst. Ati ilikuja tu. Acha what do they say?
Nijibambe kidogo.
Kabisa. Yeah.
And does what you have shared right now go into the way somebody assesses their stand financially before they make a plan?
Precisely. That is the first place.
Yeah.
Because you need to understand where you are. And then, of course, the next step would be, where are you going? And then you figure out, based on where I am, this is where I want to get to eventually. Am I going to make baby steps with what I have right now? Do I need to change something? Do I need to increase my savings rate? Do I need to reduce on entertainment? Do I need to get another income? So the next step is essentially looking at your goals. Yeah.
You peg your money to the goals that you want to achieve.
Yes, that's the third step. But first step, we were just saying, let's understand where we are. Okay, put that aside. Let's understand where we are going. Our goals. Most important goal, or one of the biggest goals, is income in retirement.
Yeah.
Then other goals could come in depending on your stage in life. Be education for yourself, education for your kids, building your own home. Like I said, I have clients who are 25 years, they just want to move out of home. That is the most immediate and most important goal in their life at that particular moment. So we work with those goals. But on top of that, once you have decided, or you have figured out where you are and where you want to go, then we get to the third thing in terms of strategy. How do I go where I want to get to? Now, for the past month, we've been doing a talk on investments, looking at various investments, some that deal with capital preservation, others that deal with growth, others that deal with income. So what you need to now figure out is which investment
Do you have to make?
do I have to make? And then you have to assign each goal. You have to assign an investment to a particular goal. Okay? And the general rule is as follows. Long-term goals, long-term investments. So you're looking at, if your goals are 20, 15 years plus, then you're looking at going into business, going into shares, going into growth property,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
We're going to go into all of those in the roles that such schemes would help in financial planning. But now I want to take us a little bit. I know you hinted about it. You speak to a lot of people. Why are people afraid of budgeting?
Because the budget brings out the reality. And people don't
Hatupendi ukweli.
hatupendi ukweli. People don't want to face the reality. Well, you think you're okay, and that reality it's a big thing, because a lot, especially over the last 2 years, because a lot of us are in debt. So when you do your income and then your expenses, you'll find that you're spending more than
You earn.
that you're earning. And the minute you realize exactly how much more that you're spending, then you realize, okay, this is why I'm in so much debt.
Yeah.
It is that change that people are afraid of.
What will the neighbors say? Nilitoka hapa, nilitoa mtoto pale, nini?
All those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that change. But it is important to come to terms with the reality, because it's going to hit you in the future. That fake lifestyle that you're living, that you cannot afford, will come and haunt you in the future. So budgeting, tough, both from a mental perspective and even a physical perspective, because it's very hard to account for every shilling.
Yeah.
It's very hard. But what we've done with very many of our clients is that we say, okay, let's do this. For entertainment, we peg this amount. For this, we peg this amount. Ukimaliza pesa ya entertainment within 1 weekend na ilikuwa ya mwezi mmoja, forget. Hiyo wachana nayo. Yeah. Because then if you spend more on entertainment, that means you'll be eating into something else.
Yeah.
To maintain that 40%, or you'll be eating into 40%. Yeah. So just have your budget, but just know that this is for entertainment, whatever that may mean to you. Yeah. Whether it's
Can be a
eating out,
million.
Yeah, it could be any amount. It's not even about. It's not really about how much you're even spending. Yeah, me, I'm more concerned with how much you get to keep.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah.
So budgeting, very important, very tricky in terms of keeping tabs. There are very many budget tracking tools out there, Excel sheets. It's also tedious in its own way. But once you do it the first time, second time, then you pretty have an idea how much I will spend on this, how much I will spend on this. And the trick to not overspend is, and I'll mention this later, is to pay yourself first. So you don't have the money. So now you're forced to work within your budget. Si umetoa 40%, imeenda. It has gone to some investment. Now you have to stick with your budget. But if you spend first, then save later,
Yeah.
there'll always be that extra 40. See, I can always dip into this. And then some people pretend and say, let me lend myself this money, I'll pay back. That's not like it can be.
You're speaking directly to me. What role do savings and emergency funds play in financial planning?
Before even you think about the future, you must first sort out the present. And that is where emergency funds come in.
Yeah.
That is a must. In fact, it is the things that you must do first. You must sort out your emergency funds and all immediate needs that are very important. You must have that sorted out as your foundation.
Yeah.
Then only do you need to start planning for other things.
Yeah.
Because if you don't plan for what is going to be emergent in the form of an emergency today, it's going to eat into your whatever you're planning for the future. So emergency funds is a must. First thing. Second thing, I think we mentioned this earlier, is insurance. You must make sure that if you're the breadwinner, that means you're the asset generating, you're the engine of the generating the money. You must also insure yourself, so that if anything should happen to you, your guys are covered. But in terms of first things first, emergency fund.
And how do you, how important is it setting short-term versus long-term goals in the same process?
It's not really about the importance of short term and long term.
Yeah.
Some goals will automatically go into the short term bracket, others will go into the long term bracket. Now, depending also on your stage in life, what will be a short term goal for an elderly gentleman will be a long term goal for
A young man.
a young man. So we'll different strategies for
Yeah.
different things, but the goals remain themselves. We'll have your long-term goals and we'll have your short-term goals. What I usually do is I just put down all the goals and then I put them in order of priority. So it's not whether it's short-term or long-term. So the first goal is, of course, do you have an emergency fund? That is short-term. So we'll deal with that. Then now the other goals can come in. Whether they are short-term goals or long-term, it also depends also on your psychology. How important are those goals in your life? Sometimes can these goals be postponed? Can they, instead of 5 years, can we do it in 7 years, 8 years, depending on what you find at the initial stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've spoken about insurance, but insurance for self, is it really viable? And why should it be a priority? And I ask this, you've had popular celebrities, personalities, media personalities say they have insured their voices, they have insured this. How really is this important in financial planning?
It is actually very important because I think we have an obligation to ensure that we generate generational wealth. And by that I mean also leaving something for your kids. But what happens if you go prematurely? Why should they suffer? So the key to that is having what we call pure insurance, in the sense that this is an insurance product that is purely based on your life, as opposed to some of these other insurance products which have changanyiko maalum, they're sold as investments, etc., etc. Have pure insurance that pays off in the event of death. Now, the younger the family or the younger the children that you have, the more you require that insurance. The premiums are usually very small, but the payoff is big. Because you can imagine if you have kids who are 3, 4, 5 years old, they need to be educated
For the next 20 years.
for the next 20 years. Now, if you go today, what happens to them? Nani wako? What happens to them? So you need something that will replace you
You not being there.
not being there. So you get something like term life or whole life insurance, which in case you're not there, it generates something like what, 30 million, which will be able to sustain them until for those remaining 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So insurance is important, not to be confused with investments. Investments are about return. Insurance is about
Safety.
protection. Yes, and we must make sure that we insure that asset that is generating income. Just the way you insure your building is giving you rent. Because in the event that it burns down, the rent, of course, goes to zero.
Yeah.
In the same way, we need to insure ourselves. That is one of the ways we can at least give back to our kids in case of our demise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I want to put a pin in there and go for a short break. When we come back, at what point should someone consider investment as a part of a financial plan? Because we've spoken about the planning. You've now put your 40 aside, but you know they have said you can never save your way to wealth. So what do you do with that 40%? That is the conversation we are coming back with.